Hello and welcome to part 24 of The Wizard of Oz, and this is Glinda the Good Witch grants Dorothy's wish. I hope that means what I think it means. And if you have a look at the bottom here, it says we've only got 8 minutes left in the book. Goodness me. Before they went to look Glinda, however, they had been taken to a room of the castle in which Dorothy washed her face and combed her hair, and the lion shook the dust out of his mane, and the scarecrow patted himself into his excellent form, and the woodman polished his tin and oiled his joints. When they had been all pretty presentable, they observed the soldier woman right into a huge room where the witch Glinda sat upon a throne of rubies. She became each lovely and young to their eyes. Her hair changed into a wealthy pink in colour and fell in flowing ringlets over her shoulders. Her dress turned into natural white, but her eyes had been blue, and they regarded kindly upon the little lady. "What can I do for you, my infant?" she requested. Dorothy instructed the witch with all her story, how the cyclone had brought her to the land of Oz, how she had found her companions, and of the brilliant adventures they had met. "My finest want now," she delivered, "is to get to Kansas, for Aunt Em will genuinely suppose something dreadful has passed off to me, and as to make her placed on mourning and until the crops are better as this year than they were ultimate, I'm sure Uncle Henry can't have enough money it." Glinda leaned ahead and kissed the sweet upturned face of the loving female. "Bless your pricey coronary heart," she said. "I am certain I can tell you of a manner to get returned to Kansas." Then she introduced, "But if I do, you have to give me the golden cap." "Willingly," exclaimed Dorothy. "Indeed, it's miles of little need to me now, and if you have it, you may command the winged monkey 3 times. "And I suppose I shall need their provider simply those 3 times, replied Glinda, smiling. Dorothy then gave her the golden cap, and the witch said to the scarecrow, "What will you do whilst Dorothy has left us?" "I will return to the Emerald City," he responded, "for Oz has made me its ruler, and the people like me. The most effective component that worries me is the way to move the Hill of the Hammerheads." "By manner of the golden cap, I shall command the winged monkeys to carry you to the gates of the Emerald City," stated Glinda, "for it would be a shame to deprive the human being so splendid a ruler." "Am I surely outstanding?" requested the scarecrow. "You are unusual," answered Glinda. Turning to the Tin Woodman, she requested, "What turns into a view whilst Dorothy leaves this United States of America?" He leaned on his axe and an idea a moment. Then he said, "The Winkies have been very type to me, and desired me to rule over them after the Wicked Witch died. I am fond of the Winkies, and if I should get again once more to the country of the West, I must like nothing higher than to rule over them for all time." "My second command to the winged monkeys," stated Glinda, "will be that they create you correctly to the land of the Winkies. Your mind won't be so massive to look at as the ones of the scarecrow. However, you are genuinely brighter than his when you are properly polished, and I am positive you will rule the Winkies wisely and properly." Then the witch looked at the massive shaggy lion and asked, "When Dorothy has returned to her personal domestic, what becomes of you?" "Over the Hill of the Hammerheads," he spoke back, "lies a grand vintage woodland, and all the beasts that live there have made me their king. If I ought to be most effective getting into this woodland, I might skip my life, but very fortunately there." "My third command to the winged monkeys," said Glinda, "shall be to hold you in your forest. Then, having used up the powers of the golden cap, I shall deliver it to the king of the monkeys, that he and his band can also thereafter be loose for evermore." The scarecrow and the Tin Woodman and the lion now thanked the good witch earnestly for her kindness, and Dorothy exclaimed, "You are truly as right as you're lovely, but you have not but told me how to get lower back to Kansas." "Your silver shoes will convey you over the desolate tract," answered Glinda. "If you had regarded their power, you may have gone again for your Aunt Em the very first day you got here to this US." "But then I must no longer have had my first-rate brains," cried the scarecrow. "I may have passed my entire lifestyles in the farmer's cornfield." "And I ought not now to have had my adorable coronary heart," said the Tin Woodman. "I may have stood and rusted in the wooded area to the cease of the arena." "And I have lived to a coward for all time," declared the lion, "and no beast in all of the forest might have had a terrific word to say to me." "This is all genuine," stated Dorothy, "and I'm happy I changed into use of these properly pals, but now that each of them has had what he most favoured, and each is satisfied in having a nation to rule except, I think I have to like to move back to Kansas. The silver shoes, said the good witch, have incredible powers, and one of the maximum curious matters about them is that they convey you to any vicinity inside the world in 3 steps. I wonder how she's going to do it. And each step may be made inside the wink of an eye. All you have to do is to knock the heels collectively 3 times and command the shoes to hold you anywhere you want to go. If this is so, said the child joyfully, I will ask them to carry me again to Kansas right away. She threw her fingers around the lion's neck and kissed him, patting his massive head tenderly. Then she kissed the Tin Woodman, who changed into weeping in a way maximum risky to his joints. But she hugged the soft, crammed body of the Scarecrow in her hands in preference to kissing his painted face, and found she was crying herself at this sorrowful parting from her loving comrades. Glinda the Good stepped down from her ruby throne to offer the little woman a very goodbye kiss, and Dorothy thanked her for all of the kindness she had proven to her friends and herself. Dorothy now took Toto up solemnly in her hands, and having stated one ultimate goodbye, she clapped the heels of her shoes collectively 3 times, saying, "Take me to Aunt Em." Instantly she changed into whirling through the air so hastily that all she could see or experience changed into the wind, whistling beyond her years. The silver shoes took but 3 steps, and then she stopped so all at once that she rolled over upon the grass numerous times earlier than she knew in which she became. At length but she sat up and looked about her. Good gracious, she cried, for she was sitting at the extensive Kansas prairie even, and simply before her became the brand new farmhouse Uncle Henry constructed after the cyclone had carried away the vintage one. Uncle Henry began milking the cows in the barnyard, and Toto had jumped out of her arms and turned into walking in the direction of the barn, barking furiously. Dorothy stood up and found she became in her stockings, for the silver shoes had fallen off in her flight through the air and had been misplaced all the time within the desert. Home again. Aunt Em had just come out of the house to water the cabbages while she looked up and saw Dorothy running towards her. "My darling baby," she cried, folding the little woman in her arms and protecting her face with kisses. "Where inside the International did you come back from?" "From the Land of Oz," said Dorothy gravely, "and here is Toto too. And oh, Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be at home again." And that is the end of The Wizard of Oz. I really hope you enjoyed it. Did you notice that the slippers in this one weren't ruby, they were silver? I wonder when that got changed. Who knows? Well, I hope you really enjoyed it. I will get hunting for our next read, okay? And it's probably going to be another classic again, maybe. We'll see, okay? Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.